Hey guys, Chelsea Murray here with Positive Futures Dog Training and Behavior, and this is my 12-week-old puppy, Daisy. Recently, she and I went on a really big adventure, and we traveled across the border from Canada into the United States. I did a lot of research before taking this big trip on, because I wanted to make sure that I wouldn't disturb anybody else on the flight, and everything would run smoothly. So here are a few of the things that I learned, some of the equipment that I bought, how I used it, and some tips for you to help make your trip home with your puppy easy.
First up is our packing list. First, you're going to want to purchase some pee pads. You can go with the disposable ones, but I decided to go with reusable ones, both small to go inside the pen and larger to put her on when we're in public spaces. Of course, you're going to want some toys. I purchased a topple so I could stuff some food inside, as well as some soft toys with squeakers, fur, and a harder one. I purchased some treats that had a single ingredient that I could use for a little bit of reinforcement of quiet behavior or some training and socialization. I also got a leash and a collar that would fit her, some grooming and cleanup supplies, whether we had an accident or got sick and I needed to clean something up. I also decided to go with a fan that's chargeable and portable, and some cooling mats to go inside the carrier in case she got hot and uncomfortable while on the flight. For the carrier itself, I decided to go with the sturdy bag. I made sure that the sturdy bag would fit the recommendations by the airline that I was flying. So make sure that you take a look at this, as all airlines are going to allow different regulations in terms of size and underseat storage capacity. I like the sturdy bag because it had lots of flaps that I could open up to vent, but it also allowed me to keep them closed in case my puppy was overwhelmed by all of the activity at the airport, or if I didn't want to encourage other people to come up and interact with her. There's also a nice storage zip side that allowed me to put some essentials in, like her vaccine records and health certificate. Because I knew I was going to be flying with a larger puppy, I decided to remove the removable bedding. I then put in a pee pad and my cooling mat so that the puppy would still have some cushion, be nice and cool and comfortable, but have a little more headspace. Then I decided to put the toys inside so that she would have access to them, and it was nice for travel on the way up. Because I'd be traveling with a young puppy that also is a coated breed, I was worried about her getting too hot. My thought process was that while she was under the seat, I could prop up the fan to help keep her cool, which would prevent her from getting too fussy. I packed all of her essentials and my essentials in a backpack that was easy for me to access everything and carry while I also had the carrier, making sure that I put labels with addresses and phone numbers on both the carrier and my backpack just in case I misplaced something. Now, passport and supplies in hand, I was ready to get on board to go pick up my puppy. I was fortunate enough once I got there to have a little time to get to know her and to bond with her. We had a really nice setting I was able to explore, and I got to spend time with the breeder, which was an additional bonus. I had two goals during this introduction phase. I wanted her to get to know me and to feel comfortable with me, as well as build positive associations with my presence. This would make it easier for her on the trip home. I also wanted to get in a little bit of foundation training done. Since I had a couple days, why not take advantage of it and work on some crate training skills? Since she hadn't been in this carrier and it was pretty small, I wanted to make sure that she could go in and out on her own. One thing we learned during the research process was that in order to fly internationally, including trips from Canada to the States, your puppy has to be 16 weeks of age. But a 16-week-old Malamute puppy is likely not going to fit in this carrier or under the seats. So we decided to get a pet-friendly car service to drive us from the breeder's home in Canada over the border into the States so that we could fly domestically. This was her first experience with the carrier, and she did really well. I was able to open up the side and allow her to engage with me, take some treats, and do a little bit of play. She was a little uncomfortable and cried a couple times, but settled in really well and slept for most of the trip. This gave me a chance to get my paperwork in order so that when we got to the border, I was ready. The border requires that you have a vaccine record on hand with up-to-date shot records, as well as an international travel certificate. We got to the border and things went really smoothly. I showed my passport and was able to show the paperwork to get us right through. Airport, here we come. When I get to the airport, the first thing I do is walk inside and get checked in. When flying with a pet, you generally have to make your reservations on the phone so they can verify your information, and then you have to check in person as well. So we get our boarding pass and go through the verification process for Daisy. After that, we head outside for one last potty break outside of the way. And as we walk through the airport, I keep the carrier closed to help protect her from a little bit of the chaos that can ensue at airports. When you get to security, you'll be asked to take the puppy out and hold the puppy. You'll walk through, they'll swipe your hands for any debris, and they'll usually take the carrier apart to look at any cracks and crevices that could be hiding something for safety purposes. Generally, security is the most busy part. While everybody wants to touch my puppy, it can be pretty overwhelming. So I usually have phrases already prepared, like, sorry, she's not vaccinated. So while she's a baby, we're trying to protect her immune system. This way, people don't feel bad, and you've got something prepared so you don't feel pressured into saying yes and letting your puppy become overwhelmed. After you're through security, I found a store where I could get a quick bottled water in case we needed to offer some on the flight or at the gate. And at the gate, I do a little setup to let her get out, stretch her legs, and do a little playtime. I set up my large whelping mat pee pad in case she has an accident and to protect her from picking up any pathogens that might be found on the airport floor. And then we just engage in a little play or do a little bit of training. She was hot, so I went ahead and pulled out her fan for her, and I gave a little bit of water to help her cool off. I recommend keeping a close eye on your puppy. Daisy's a very confident puppy and wasn't worried at all about any of the activity around, but I still strategically set up in the quietest corner I could find by the gate. If you notice that your puppy is a little worried, won't take food from you, or is cowering away from loud noises, your puppy might be better off staying inside of the carrier while you guys wait. You could even consider turning your phone on and playing some calming classical music to help relax them and drown out the external noises of travel. I wanted to arrive to the gate extra early, not only to reduce stress of traveling with a puppy and doing something new, but to give us a little time to stretch out and bond while we were here, in the hopes that this would then cause her to sleep while on the flight. Once you board the airplane, your puppy needs to remain inside the carrier and underneath the seat in front of you at all times. Daisy was pretty tired from all of our play and enrichment at the gate, and so she ended up sleeping the whole flight. I was prepared just in case with my water and bowl in case she got thirsty, and I had some treats that I could stuff into her food puzzle in case she needed a little entertainment or some self-soothing activities. Since no one would be bothering her on the plane, I did open up the carrier so that it could vent and turned on my fan directly in front of her. Upon arriving at our home airport, I decided to just grab my luggage and get out of the airport as quick as I could before offering her some more water and another chance to potty, especially because she seemed so relaxed and still pretty tired inside the carrier. I laid out the whelping mat again to protect her from any unknown pathogens as she wasn't fully vaccinated, and she was happy to stretch her legs and enjoy a little water before our final trip in the car back to the house. Overall, our trip was really smooth, and I was really grateful that we didn't run into any problems. I did end up placing an adaptable pheromone collar on her to reduce any stress, but she's such a confident puppy that we really probably didn't need it. There's always ways that you can keep your puppy entertained and reduce stress while traveling, so make sure that you have a variety of options and you're prepared for a few different scenarios. And when you come home, remember that this was a big journey for your puppies. So allow your puppy a little time to decompress and get situated before jumping into your normal puppy training and socialization routine.
Now, you're going to need to make sure before you book your flight that not only do you have all of your equipment ready, but you also have all of your paperwork, like vaccines from the vet, as well as a health certificate if you're traveling internationally. You're also going to want to make sure that you look up your specific flight, the under the seat cargo space, their recommendations for a carrier size, so that you don't run into any problems at the terminal. And of course, a little extra time when you meet your puppy to practice with that carrier to make sure that they're comfortable going in and out will go a really long way in terms of making sure that your puppy is comfortable in the carrier and isn't barking and disturbing anybody else on the flight. The other thing that I recommend is that you take some time at the airport. You don't want to get there late. You want to make sure that you're not stressed out because that's going to impact your ability to care for the puppy. I hope that this helped you get a little idea on what it's like to travel with a puppy and start to get your packing list all set. If you have any questions about travel with your puppy, please feel free to drop them below. And if you're planning a road trip coming up soon, I think you'll like this video here where I talk about traveling with dogs. Thanks for listening.